Hi, Prosperity Team. This is Dr. Money coming to you from the prosperity corner of the universe where silliness is sacred and nobody's perfect. I am your POP, your professor of prosperity, and I'm here so that all of our lives can pop with prosperity. Another treat. This is one of my best friends, if not my best friend, and we have known each other since the early 70s. We've been through a lot together, and we have really worked together many times on manifesting and creating things in our lives and reminding each other of all the opportunities and possibilities that were available in our lives. And so let me introduce to you, and I'll let you, ask you a little bit about, you can just tell them a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty. So here's my friend, the Reverend Dr. Karen Love Baisinger. So maybe just tell, what do you do? And anything else?
Well, I'm retired. I'm retired since 2013. And I came out of retirement almost 2 years ago. And I'm a half-time pastor at a little Methodist church, United Methodist Church on the Oregon coast.
Okay.
And so I've also done wellness coaching and used to be in private practice and ran as many as 7 therapy groups a week, ongoing and therapy groups and weekend intensives.
So you are a head doctor and you're a heart doctor and a jack of all trades, or a Jennifer of all trades, or Karen of all trades.
There you go.
Yes, and I know that you have attracted and created so many things in your life that you wanted, and I just wonder if maybe you could tell us a story of something that you created in your life, maybe something that's pretty current, and how you set about doing that.
Well, I did it without knowing I was going to do it. It's the law of attraction. So a few years ago, about 3 years ago, I put together a mind movie, or kind of like a vision board, except it's with PowerPoint. And so I put together this collection of images of what I wanted to bring into my life. And then you find music that you have behind it that helps you get in the right receptive mode for that. So I realized after I had done it, after I created it, I looked at it and I was watching it and I realized, oh my gosh, so many of these scenes have a beach in them. We're walking on the beach and I'm living on near, and so now what's happened is I'm serving a church on the beach. I've moved and I'm on the beach. And so I feel like that mind movie did that. And so to do the mind movie, you have to move into that feeling state, or any kind of attraction kind of thing. You could have a movie in your mind. You could make a movie, a visualization, but you have to move into the feeling state as if it's already happened. So what would that feel like to be walking on the beach frequently? What would it feel like to have these different things that are making up my life? And so you have to move your brain from what's called high beta, the really high brainwave amplitudes of stress, like the fight or flight. You have to lower that until you're into alpha or theta, which are much more relaxed brainwave states, so that you can be in that receptive mode. So you just, you keep seeing this good and you keep feeling this good, and then that's how it happens.
Well, thank you. That's a great story. I think you said to me at one time that before you did your mind movie, before you watched that movie that had music and, you tried to get all the senses involved, that you prepared by doing something else before you watched the movie so that you could get
optimally. Optimally, you could do whatever you do to be in a meditative mind state. Maybe it's gazing into, looking at a candle. Maybe it's looking at a mandala. Maybe it's watching a kaleidoscope, like from YouTube or something. It's you're switching those brain waves, because in our ordinary state of consciousness, this is what we have. And it may not be what we want with our prosperity or our abundance. We may need to move into that part of us that can receive a new story, a new paradigm, a new way of being. And you live into it. And how would that feel? And you feel the joy of that.
That's great. Now I'm gonna ask you a question, might throw you for a loop here,
Okay.
like throw you a curveball, and that is, have you ever wanted to manifest something and you worked on it and it didn't come true?
Absolutely. Woo.
Yeah, and why do you think that happens? Why do you think that we work on things and they don't come true? What is your theory on that?
Well, on the things I can think about, I think God knew better than I did.
In other words, maybe the things that you were wanting were not for your highest good.
Yeah. Like, in the past, it might have been, well, might be a certain man I'm attracted to, and I'd like to have that relationship. Well, if I will think about it now, it's like, I wouldn't be happy in that relationship. So it's a good thing God didn't give me what I asked for.
Right.
Now,
So
there have been other situations where I've prayed like for healing, for some situations in my family, and it didn't happen in the way I would have preferred. But I have to trust in God's care and grace and love, and it didn't come about the way I would have preferred. I know that my loved ones are always within God's care. So I just have to surrender to a greater mystery.
so we
Sometimes
have
I can, know. Sometimes I can know. It's like, yeah, it's a good thing God didn't give that man. It's like, because I've grown beyond that kind of a resonance. And so, but then other times it's like, well, I'm going to have to figure that one out when I hit the light big time. when I'm without this body.
so thank you. And so prosperity manifestation is about our preferences, but we also have to use wisdom in knowing that our preferences may not be what's the best for us.
Yeah. And the other thing is, life happens, suffering happens. I think it's about feeling the enoughness of it all, no matter what's happening, that it's okay. It's okay.
Yes, absolutely. Because the idea that we're going to have a perfect life and everything is going to always be good is it's like false advertising. And I think that's what a lot of law of attraction people are going for. And that is no inconvenience. Everything should be perfect. And it's just not going to be that way. And it's very not, it's disappointing and debilitating to believe that this perfect life exists.
Well, it'd be like somebody wanting a perfect childhood, or wishing they'd had a perfect childhood, or wishing they could give their child a perfect childhood. Certainly I have regrets and can always love better than we've loved. But it's like research I've read, if it weren't for those things that we had to come up against, those hard obstacles and setbacks or pains or whatever, we wouldn't have grown. We would have, actually the people who turn out to be the happiest are the ones who did not have the idyllic childhood. A lot of times, that it's the ones who had to deal with some traumas of some, various kinds. Maybe it was an external thing. I think about, like, say, the Sandy Hook shooting, or, it wasn't about their family. It was about what was going on in the culture, or something that happened in their family. But those who've had to deal with something and learn and become resilient actually ended up later in life, having more happiness.
I've noticed that. I've noticed that sometimes I'll make somebody really happy and I'll hear the backstory and it's like,
Mhm.
whoa, how
Yeah.
in the world did you get through that?
And it's kind of like prosperity, like what we do with our intentional work. Do we choose to be abundant in the midst of what can be in the larger setting? Do we choose to be happy even though certain things happened in our past? What is our choice? Today, what is our choice? Yeah.
So we can choose an abundant perspective or not, in the midst. And of course, we want to be sure, because I think that so many people who speak of these law of attraction and so forth, maybe want to deny that those things are there. And it's like we don't, it's like in spite of these things, we choose to be a certain way, not that I deny their existence. It's just in spite of these things.
Yeah, like for instance, with the climate crisis, I've read, you know, a whole bunch of books over the past few years about it, and what the extreme climate activists basically get to is when when they're not in denial and they see what we've even got baked in, what we're going to be facing, then all that's left is to love. All that's left is to choose joy in the moment and to do the best you can to be the best human you can be and to take care of each other and the earth.
And so that's really a prescription for life,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of whether there's a crisis or not.
Yeah.
That is probably the best choice that we can make. Sometimes our past does get in the way, and then we have to deal with that in whatever way we need to, whether it's reaching out to other people, getting therapy, reading books, whatever it is. But we get to a point, hopefully, that we can choose love and embody love. That is the ultimate prosperity for sure. I want to thank you so much for sharing.
Well,
Yeah, one more thing.
I just want to acknowledge you briefly. You've done an amazing job all these 50 years I've known you, and you always come up smelling like a rose. You always are able to be resilient in the face of the adversity and the suffering that is woven into life. And so I really want to acknowledge you for all that you have been able to manifest.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry, I interrupted you.
Thank you. We're going to just take a deep breath in, everyone. And as we breathe in our good. And as we exhale our intention that all other beings on the planet receive their good as well. And I want you to remember one more thing for sure, and that is that I love you. You, Karen, and you that are listening to this video.
I love you. I love you, all of you, and you, Ann.